Okay, hello, people of the world, and most likely just Japan. But you're all worldly people. Let's see. Are we online? I think we are. Oh, yeah, okay, we're on now. So, if you're there, please say hello, write down in the comments, tell me your name, tell me, I don't know, whatever. Tell me about how your day was, or what you're hoping to hear about in European news or anything like that. Maybe even just something about Europe you can tell me. Yeah. Let's see. Do we have anyone yet? Hmm. I can only raise my eyebrow on one side. Not yet. Still waiting for some people to join. Maybe it'll be in a second. I need to get like a theme song or something. It's the Steven show. What's new in Europe? Any viewers yet? Maybe not yet. Hey, can you check to make sure that my stream is coming through okay? Thank you. Still waiting to see if there's anyone joining in. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say that you're on the stream though. I can't see your eye thingy, so.
Maybe it's because we're logged into the same account.
Ah, so it really could just be 0. All right. Should I just get started anyways, or?
Just one person.
Oh, it does? Mine says 0, so maybe I just need to wait for that to refresh. Hey, it does say one person. Maybe that's you, though.
There's a slight lag.
That could just be you. So when you join the stream, please say hello, give them your name, and let me know how you're doing. Anyone yet? Okay, well, maybe I'll just start on it anyways, and people can watch it later. Oh, Darian here. I miss you, Steve. Miss you too. Oh, and then Darian left. So now it's just me alone again. Okay. So first on our news items for today for is this gonna be posted on the Wiz channel? Right. So I'll just do it either way, right?
Maybe 2 more minutes.
Okay, I'll wait 2 more minutes. See if anyone shows. Oh, there's 2 people.
Yay!
Hello. Hello. Okay, we can get started. So please tell me who it is that's watching. You can tell me in the comments, which is over there for me. Maybe it's on the other side for you. I don't know. I have no idea. But I hope you had a good week. I had a great week. So, anyways, here's what's new in Europe. So we have 2 topics for today. So one of our topics, the first topic, we're going to continue talking about the situation in Belarus. Like the protests and the problems with Lukashenko, who is the dictator there, who has been ruling Belarus since like 1994 or something, 1998. 94. I don't know. It's like a long time, like 30 years or something. He has been controlling Belarus, and now he's after faking the most recent election. He said he won by 82%, and pretty much everyone in the country is like, I didn't vote for him, so And even other countries, like from the Baltics, they've all said, like, no, this is definitely fake. Like winning by 82% is like very unlikely, even if you're a popular candidate. It's just not true. He's just a dictator. Anyways, topic number two is going to be about hot spring viruses in Iceland. And though that sounds like a really bad thing, like the last thing you want is like a hot spring virus in Iceland, right? Like the last thing I want to do if I go to the onsen or something, the last thing I want is to get a virus. That sounds terrible. But it's a bit different in Iceland because it's about they're going to the not like an onsen hot spring, but like a hot spring like under the ground, and they're like taking samples from inside of like these geothermal hot springs that are around in the earth. And so they're taking like samples and then testing them for viruses. Anyways, we'll talk more about that in a second. Let's start off with our update for Belarus. Belarus. Right. So after, Lukashenko basically, in August, he faked the election, and then his opposition could, blah, 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 blah. Her name was very hard to pronounce. She left for Lithuania because she started getting threats sent to her and her family. So now in Belarus, there are still protests, and actually Lukashenko has banned the use of the the independent Belarus flag, or the flag for independence in Belarus, which is like it's white and then red and then white again, right? So it's a tricolor flag with only two colors, but the pattern is a tricolor. The pattern is a tricolor. So it's white, red, and then white again. And so he's banned the opposition, which are like the people who are against him, Lukashenko in Belarus. He has banned people using this flag because it's like against his government. And so, because you are no longer allowed to use the flag, and it has been banned and it's illegal to use it now, he is lots of people who are protesting him, or people who are trying to express themselves on their balcony, they'll put out the laundry, and they'll put out like one white shirt, one red shirt in the middle, and then a white shirt at the end, as a way of displaying the flag, but without it being a flag, right? So that way they don't need to worry about like police or getting arrested or having problems because of the ban on the flag, right? Which I thought was really like clever. And some people are doing it in very different ways. I saw one picture where someone had taken flowers. They had like on their balcony, they had 3 flower pots, and they had like white flowers, red flowers, and then white flowers again, right? And that's like another way that they can show it. But people are using lots of different ways. They're using like bags, they're using laundry, they're using flowers, they're using like like soft toys. Even one woman I saw, she had her laundry hanging up inside, and it was a bra. She had three bras, like brassieres. She had three brassieres hanging up, like a white one, a red one, and then a white one again. And so by using that, she could show the flag colors that she believes in without having a problem with the police or anything like that, which is, I don't know, it's pretty clever, I think. The thing that's confusing to me about this situation in Belarus. So, okay, the opposition started using this flag, which is like the white, red, and white flag, right? But some people are worried because on one side, it's like, oh, this is the flag of the independent Belarusian people. Then on the other side, there are some people, not everyone, but there are some people that use this flag as a Nazi flag, sort of. Basically, when the Nazis went to Belarus back in like 1940s, and they attacked the country, and they took power, and they were in control. During that time, the Nazis used the white, red, and white flag to represent Belarus. So some people think like, using this flag is not a good idea. Yes, it's the old Belarus flag, so it shows like kind of independence from Lukashenko, but it's also some Nazi sympathizers or some people who like the Nazis or don't get angry about the Nazis. Some of those people also use this flag. So it's kind of a big problem right now, actually, with this flag being used, to be honest. I guess it's kind of like mm, maybe a little similar to like the imperial sun flag or the rising sun flag in Japan. So you like that being used. It's kind of like that, except Belarus was never like an empire, so it's not exactly the same. But it's a little bit similar. Kind of like a mm, not so good history with the flag, but then the modern meaning might be kind of different than the original meaning, you know? So, anyways, that's about the flags in Belarus. But then there's loads of protests still going on. And uh, like some of the protesters are saying that there's like ambulances going around the protests, right? Ambulances for sick and injured people. But these ambulances, inside, there are no paramedics, no nurses, no doctors, no medics or EMTs. Inside of the ambulance is actually riot police. And so these riot police are pretending to be in the ambulance, right? And then as soon as they see protesters, they'll like get out of the van, and if they catch you, they'll pick you up and they'll drag you into the van. I don't know how much that is fake ambulances. Apparently, a lot of these are actually also just in green vans. So the riot police, and their helmets and their armor and the big shields, they're in like these green vans, unmarked vans, and also fake ambulances. And they're driving around and they're kind of kidnapping protesters. This is all in the city of Minsk, in Belarus, and Minsk is about 2 million people, which is it's almost the same size as Nagoya. I think it's smaller than Nagoya, but it's the capital of Belarus. Um, And so, yeah, it's pretty crazy actually. Like here in the city center of Minsk, there's no mobile internet, so there's no phone internet. The government has cut all of the communication services and all of the services in the city center. Actually, the government, like Lukashenko, is afraid of protesters, and maybe he's trying to control the situation. I don't know, but so he's cutting the internet for mobile phones, like mobile data, that's being cut. And then also they are cutting um, Wi-Fi services, so there's no Wi-Fi or internet in the area. They're also there's no taxis available. Taxis have been banned from entering the area. Cars have been banned from entering the city center too. And so when I say the city center, I guess I mean like Minsk Central, which is kind of like Nagoya Central. If you imagine that kind of area would be maybe like Nakaku or something. So maybe like Sakai and Fushimi and Meieki. That kind of area would be like the central part of Nagoya. So if you imagine that kind of area or that kind of size, maybe even bigger, actually, like a large portion of Minsk has been closed and everything is cut. The communication's been cut and personal transport's been cut, so taxis and cars. But also, all of the subway lines, the metro lines, like Chikatetsu, right? The metro lines have all been, they're still running in Minsk, but they no longer stop in the city center. So you cannot take the subway or the metro line in Minsk to Minsk city center. You can take it from either side to the other side, or from further north to down south. As long as you are not going to the center and stopping there, you're fine. But they've made it so you cannot stop in the Minsk Central anymore. It's like a banned subway stop, um, which is pretty crazy. Like, could you imagine there was like big protests in Japan and like the trains weren't allowed to stop in like Fushimi, Meiki, Sakai, Shinsakai, and like all of these, and like Hisaya Dori, like all of these central locations, like were just like closed off, and you're no longer allowed to go to those stations, or allowed to get off at those stations, which is just nuts, you know? Um, and apparently, like reporters are saying that the protesters are all peaceful. They're non-violent. There's no violence among the protesters, but the police are using stun grenades and rubber bullets. And what was the other thing they were using? Stun grenades, rubber bullets, and they were like detaining people inside these vans as well. But there was something else they were using. I just can't remember what. Okay, enough about Belarus. Let's move on to topic number 2, hot spring viruses in Iceland. This is actually a much more cheerful topic than the Belarus one, which sounds weird saying that viruses are cheerful, but these are like kind of good viruses, right? Okay, so recently in Iceland, which is like, Iceland's like way up here, actually, I think. I don't know if it's on this map. Oh man, maybe there's no Iceland. Unless it's like this one? Is that Iceland? Maybe that one's Iceland. Yeah. It's up around there. It's a pretty small island, so it's kind of hard to see. But anyways, so in Iceland, home of the Vikings. So Iceland is an island that is on top of volcanoes, very similar to Japan. You know, have you ever been to Iceland? If you've been to Iceland before, type it in the comments. Tell me about where you went, what it was like. Yeah, if you've ever been to Iceland. Or if you want to go, whatever. Just tell me what you're thinking. Okay? Yeah. So anyways, in Iceland, they are taking samples. What I mean by samples is they're taking water and dirt and minerals and such from inside of the hot springs, not like the bath hot spring, not like an onsen hot spring, but like what's under like the bath, like deep in the ground. That's where they're taking the samples from, right? And in these samples, they are finding lots and lots of different bacteria and viruses. Two different things, right? Bacteria and viruses are not the same thing. They're different things. So some viruses, sorry, pop up. Get rid of that. Okay. So viruses kind of infect different things in different animals or different plants or whatever. Usually they have a specific target. Like if you get coronavirus, like your dog probably won't get coronavirus. Like it's a human disease right now. Maybe dogs can get it. I don't know. I'm not an expert. But as far as I understand, I think it's a human virus. So it's coronavirus is non-harmful to most animals, right? Okay. Anyways, so the viruses inside of the hot springs in Iceland are all viruses that attack bacteria. And so this bacteria and also the viruses, they live in really extreme conditions. So really, really, really high heat and really high pressure, right? So like high pressure means like there's lots of force on the outside. Like the bottom of the ocean is high pressure, or like inside the earth is high pressure. Up in the sky, if you're in an airplane, it's low pressure, and that's why your ears pop, right? Um, and then, so these bacteria and viruses live in really difficult conditions. And because of that, these viruses are completely not dangerous. They're not dangerous to humans at all. They only attack bacteria, and they only really attack like the bacteria in the hot springs or geothermal fissures. That's kind of a hard one. Geothermal fissures. Right. So Bjork. I like that. I like that. Yes, Bjork created a science program with the Icelandic government that incorporates her music. She has a song called Virus that they use to explain the beautiful things viruses can do. Well, there you go. Yeah, so in the geothermal fissures, which is the hot springs. So geo means like rock or earth. Thermal means like heat. And a fissure means like a crack, like an opening. So these viruses are really strong and they have a lot of interesting abilities, right? So they're really strong and hard living viruses, right? So the researchers are looking at these viruses and studying them and trying to find maybe like a better way to use their enzymes. So enzymes, let's put that into the chat down here. Enzymes. So an enzyme is like an enzyme is a chemical formation, chemical like molecule or group, compound. It's like a mixture of chemicals that break down a different substance, right? So the enzymes in your mouth is in your saliva, all right? In here, those are enzymes. In your spit, in all the wet stuff in your mouth, those are enzymes that break down food and help you digest nutrition, right? And so these viruses inside of the hot springs in Iceland, maybe they have interesting enzymes that they use to break down bacteria and also interesting genes, genetics. So the researchers are studying these viruses so that they can help human health or maybe make like new materials, make new uses or new applications from researching the genes and enzymes of these viruses, right? For example, so these viruses don't really have a use yet, but they're getting there, you know. But for example, something that was like remade from a bacteria or a virus was like a couple years ago in South America. So this is not European, but this is just an example because we're talking about viruses, okay? But on an application, right? So in South America, in a Brazilian Amazon rainforest, they found a bacteria, and from this bacteria, researchers made um, like an enzyme, say enzyme, that can break down the plastic molecule. So plastic usually takes thousands of years to decompose. So that's why it's a really big pollution problem because it never goes away. It's always there. And so these researchers use that to get rid of plastic basically without the problem or factories or anything like that. Okay, I'm gonna say there's one last thing I want to talk about with the viruses in Iceland. The researchers have said that there are more viruses on Earth and there are more types of viruses on Earth than there are stars in the universe. What? More viruses on one planet, on planet Earth? More viruses on Earth than there are stars in the universe. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good note to kind of think about. Anyone in the comments want to send a message in? Let me know how we're doing at there. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. So next week we'll be talking probably. I don't know if we'll talk about Belarus so much, but next week I want to talk about Estonia. I want to talk about the digital revolution in Estonia, which is in the Baltics, near Belarus, actually. But Estonia is doing lots of interesting things. I think like 40 years ago or 30 years ago, Estonia was all farmland. It almost is mostly farmland today too, but they're having like a digital revolution with programmers and Wi-Fi connections and lots of other interesting stuff like that. So, thank you very much for tuning in. Send me your name next time if you can, and I'll see you next week. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Goodbye. Good night. Goodbye from the Blue European Union. Woo! That's the new goodbye. The goodbye song. Goodbye. Oh. Yes. Sorry, I forgot to do a quick wrap up. What we talked about today was Belarus protests, flags and stuff, Icelandic viruses, and hot springs. Okay, this is goodbye for real. Bye bye.